I spent a long time searching for a job in what was once my big, prosperous city. There was no place for me. It seemed like I had studied well, always did everything as I was told, and now, after serving in the military, nobody wanted me anywhere. Wherever I went, they all asked the same thing. You, young man, do you have experience in this profession? No, I answered. Well, then you're free to go. But how can I get experience if no one hires me? So I wandered from place to place, tried to find any job I could, but it was all in vain. I even tried to get a job at a construction site, but they told me they'd love to take me. But they already had too many people. Of course, I could have taken my time looking for work. After all, as they say, my parents wouldn't let me starve. But I understood perfectly well that I couldn't live off them for long. My father asked me every evening how my job search was going, and I wanted to move out myself. Home is home, but you have to move forward in life. I was foolish enough to hope my friends would help me out. I thought I'd hang out for a month or two and the guys would help, but that didn't work out. My friends turned out not to be such friends after all. They said they'd find out what was what and told me to wait. But there was no real help. When I asked about jobs, they just brushed me off, annoyed. That's when I realized what was up with them. Growing up turned out to be pretty nasty, realizing that, in the end, no one really cares about you is unpleasant. I decided then that my friends were over after I finished technical college. It was upsetting, mean, and painful that people I trusted just a couple of years ago could treat me this way. But, oh well, as they say, you only lose if you do nothing, and even without help from friends or relatives, I was trying hard. One evening, I was scrolling through job ads online. These won't take me, I don't want to go there, and here they want experience, I thought, looking through the listings. Suddenly, I found a very interesting vacancy. It was a job as a security guard in the next town over. The pay, let's say, was not great, but in my situation, I couldn't turn down even such a seemingly unimpressive job. The ad didn't list any requirements, just a description that you'd need to guard different places, with a phone number for details. I wrote the number down and left it on the table so I could call in the morning. There were a couple more ads that caught my eye, and I wrote down those numbers too. It was already evening, so there was no point calling. When I woke up at 10 the next morning, I dialed the number for the security job. A man answered, introduced himself, asked me a few questions, and told me to come to their office. The next town was only about a 30-minute bus ride away, so I grabbed my documents, got myself presentable, and went. "Hello," I said, entering a small office where 3 people were sitting at monitors. Only one of them reacted to me. "Hear about the job?" asked a man around 40 with a smoker's voice. "Yeah, I called you. You asked me to come." "Take a seat," he said, pointing to a chair by the desk. I sat down. He tore himself away from his monitor, looked lazily at me, took out a pack of cigarettes, and lit up. "What's your name?" "Andrew," I replied. "Well, Andrew, here's the deal. The job's not for everyone. You'll be guarding the city cemetery, working 1 day on, 3 days off. The pay is $500 a shift. There are 2 people per shift, so you'll have a partner. He'll show you the ropes. Your duties are to chase away troublemakers, hand out keys to the staff, and call different services if needed. The job's easy, the place is quiet, and we'll provide a uniform. So, are you ready to start?" I really liked how straightforward he was. No, "we'll call you back" nonsense. And the schedule was great. 1 day on, 3 off. "When do I start?" I asked. "We can get you set up right now if you have your documents. The job starts tomorrow at 6 in the morning. By the way, it's from 6 a.m. to 6 a.m., so don't be late or you'll get fined." I dug out my documents and handed them over. "You're from the next town over?" he asked. "Yeah." "Is it easy for you to get here?" "Yeah, the first bus leaves at 5, and it's not far." "Good," he said, handing my documents back. "Let's get you your work clothes." After getting my uniform and asking a million questions about pay and such, I left the office almost humming. The first step was done, and that's always the most important. I thought to myself as I headed to the bus stop, happy. When I got home, I couldn't wait to share the news that I'd finally found a job. Sure, maybe it wasn't glamorous and the pay was low, but it was something. I told my father, who was sitting on the couch looking annoyed. A security guard at a cemetery? What were you thinking when you took that job? "I was thinking with my head," I replied. "Seems to me you were thinking with something else. Normal people look for something better, and you agreed to work for 500. You just took whatever you could get." "If they'd hired me at a construction site, I'd have gone there," I said. "Smart kid you turned out to be," my father said, looking at me with contempt. That was unfair. The days were over when he could boss me around as he pleased. "You promised me a good job when I got back. Said it was all arranged. So where's that job?" "You ungrateful kid." He started to get up, but I said, "Better sit down." He must have weighed his options and decided it was wiser to stay put. After all, I was bigger and stronger than him now. I left for my room, upset, set my alarms so I wouldn't oversleep, packed my things and put my bag by the bed so I wouldn't have to rustle around in the morning. Around 2 in the morning, I was woken up by voices from the kitchen. I did everything for him, and he calmed down. "You'll wake everyone," my mom said. Apparently, Dad had had a few drinks and was ranting again. I looked at my phone and decided I needed sleep, turned over, and fell back asleep. I walked down the road and saw ahead a man in a security uniform sitting on a bench by the cemetery gate. I greeted him, introduced myself, and sat down next to him. "So, you're the new guy?" he asked. "Yeah," I replied. "Why'd you take this job?" "I took what I could get." "Well, you're lucky. Jake, your partner, is a good guy. You won't be bored." "Hey," I said, "can you fill me in on how things work here? I don't know much yet." "Your partner will explain everything. There's not much to tell. It's a quiet place. Nobody in their right mind comes here at night. In the morning, you open the gates. In the evening, you close them. Hand out keys. That's about it." "Boring, really." He stood up. "Come on, I'll show you the guardhouse." Inside, I was surprised. There was a big monitor with a dozen camera feeds. Everything was clean and tidy. A big table, several chairs, even a coat rack. In the corner was a bed, I guess, for sleeping. "It's simple," he said. "You sit inside and watch the cameras while your partner walks the grounds during the day. Keep the door open during the day so people can come in for keys or to ask questions. Here's the logbook. Write down who takes keys and when. At 11 p.m., turn on the lights outside, lock up, and stay inside until morning. Wait for your relief. Technically, you're supposed to walk the grounds at night, but we don't. Your partner will fill you in." A car stopped by the gate. My partner, Jake, had arrived. The day went by quickly. They showed me where the microwave was, where the nearest store was, what I could and couldn't do. Jake explained things for about half an hour, then went off to patrol while I stayed to watch the cameras and hand out keys. At around 8, some workers came by. I got to know them. They were regular guys. The rest of the day I wandered the grounds, covering for Jake. The cemetery was huge. If you walked around at night without knowing the way, you'd never get out before dawn. It was a bit creepy. Evening came. Without really checking if anyone was still on the grounds, we just locked the gates and went to the guardhouse for tea. "That's it," Jake said, turning on the kettle and putting food in the microwave. "How was your first day?" "Not bad," I replied, sitting on a chair. "It's really an easy job. Open the gates, close them, pretend to work during the day." "Yeah, but they could eat you," Jake said, pouring himself some tea. "What do you mean, eat me?" "Literally. But don't worry, nights here are fun. You'll hear screams, cries, scratching, all sorts of stuff." "You're joking," I said, looking at Jake skeptically. "No, not at all. Look at the door and the walls. See anything strange?" I looked around. "No, not really. Well, there are no windows, which is weird for a guardhouse. The door is thick, metal-plated, with a deadbolt. That's not for nothing. At night, all sorts of things happen. Every night, someone walks around the guardhouse, knocks on the door, asks for water, a light, something. The voices are always different. Sometimes a woman, sometimes a man. You'd think it's someone who got stuck, but it's not people. It's the undead, hungry for fresh meat. So don't even think about opening the door. They'll eat us both in a second. Sometimes they knock and say, "Open the gate, I can't get out." But you look at the cameras, and there's no one there. Yet someone's pounding on the door. Sometimes it's best not to look at the cameras. Sometimes you'll see things that'll keep you from sleeping for a week. One time, I was here, heard knocking, checked the cameras. No one. I went back to my phone. Then I heard, "Jake, open the door." A woman's voice, magical and inviting. I got scared. My brain felt like it was shutting down. I almost got up to open the door, but managed to hold on. Then the voice changed, became harsh, metallic, and there was scratching on the steel. The voice told me what would happen if I didn't open the door. Said it was tired of lying in the ground and wanted some fresh meat, just a little. It offered me a deal, let it eat my left hand, and in return, it'd bring me gold coins. You don't need your left hand anyway, and with the money, you'll live happily ever after. That's creepy, I said. No, that's not the worst. The worst is when someone breaks into the cemetery. One time, 4 people climbed over the fence, walking down the main road, laughing. I saw on the cameras that the dead were gathering in the darkness, waiting for them to step off the road. And that's what happened. One was dragged into the dark and eaten. The others ran, but in 10 seconds they were torn apart. In the morning, there wasn't even a drop of blood left. The ground here is greedy for blood. It soaks up everything, Jake said, sipping his tea. And do you know what happened to your predecessor? He was in your spot just a week ago. No, I replied. They ate him, Jake said. We were sitting just like this, talking. It was almost 2 a.m. Suddenly, from behind the door, "Son, let me in." My hair stood on end. My partner jumped up and ran to the door. I shouted, "Stop, don't open it." But he undid the bolt and turned the lock. What happened next? I asked. He went outside, and I closed the door behind him. He screamed, but they dragged him away. He disappeared without a trace. Who knows why he did it? He knew what happens here. But he paid the price. If you mess around, I'll throw you out the door too, Jake said, putting his mug on the table.